Okay, let's begin by going into our working folder and opening up Vanishing Point 1 and 2. Here they are. Let's start with 1. We're talking about a tool, actually it's a feature, that started in Photoshop CS2 called Vanishing Point that allows me to do something that I absolutely love. It allows me to clone in the third dimension. Now it does other things, but to me that's one of the most important. I cover things up a lot using the clone tool. Now look at this image because it's perfect to help describe vanishing point. We can see the vanishing point in this image as these boards recede into the distance. Now we're working in a two-dimensional workspace on an image that was shot in a three-dimensional real-world space. We know those boards aren't any thinner up here than they are here. And in the real world, well, they're not. But in our world, in order to see depth, things have to get literally smaller. The clone tool doesn't understand that by itself. If I come over here and pick it up, there it is. I have a new layer. Always clone in a separate layer because that gives you control. So I've got current and below selected here, and I've got aligned for the tool. I get right about here, say, and I Alt-click. Now that's Option-click on a Mac, Alt-click in Windows, which sets my point, and I move in. I love that it does that. It gives you that little piece so you can line it up. But if you don't line it up perfectly, it's in a separate layer. You can always move it. And we come over here and we begin cloning. But I think you know what's going to happen. The boards are too big. They're too thick because the clone tool does not take into account their shrinkage as we go toward the vanishing point. So this whole exercise here is to prove that we have a tool that allows us to do that. Really can save you some time. Now I'm going to press undo, Command-Z on a Mac and Control-Z in Windows. So we still have this nice blank layer over here. Make sure it's selected. Go up to the word filter and go down to vanishing point. The first thing we need to do is define the vanishing point by drawing a perspective plane. Now that's this tool right here. It's already selected. Come over here, I don't know, get right about here and click. Now let's move over, say, to about here and click again. I'm going to move down and I'm going to follow. See, that's why I think this image is ideal. I'm going to follow the lines. The lines are pointing toward the vanishing point. Let's go way down here. And I'll move over here. And I will get right about there. And one more. Oh, there you go. Now, if it's not where you think it should be, you can go to the corners and rearrange it. Move it, stretch it, whatever you want. We need to have it cover everything we want to fix and everything we want to fix it with. So I'm going to go to the middle and pull it way up this way and over this way. And then say down this way. I'm going to go to this corner right here, and I'm going to change that just a little bit. See it go red? When it goes red, it's saying, Andy, it's not going to work. You're violating the laws of physics here. It's not going to work. So give me blue again. So sometimes you have to play around with it until you get it exactly the way you think it's supposed to be. Let's stop right about there. Okay. As long as it's blue, it'll work. It doesn't really mean you've got the correct vanishing point, but it thinks you might have. Okay, so you might as well take a stab at it here. Come down over here now and pick up the clone tool. Now the grid goes away, which is a good thing because that was kind of distracting anyway. I have a diameter brush 100. That should be fine. Hardness of 50. Soft edge. Opacity 100. And a heal. This is new. I like that. Healing helps blend it in for us. And it is aligned. Let's get right about here. Hold down the Alt key in Windows, Option key on a Mac, and set your point. Again, you get a piece, and I'm going to get right over here, see if I can get right on that line, and then begin moving like we did before, but this time it's going to work. Now watch what happens when I let go. That's when healing kicks in. It's almost perfect. Let's do this down here too. So let's start right about here. And Alt-click on a Windows system, Option-click on Mac to set our point. Let's get up here and align that up and just start rubbing down. Rub, rub. Rub it out. Let go of the mouse. Healing takes over. That's not too bad. Click OK. And don't forget, we have that stuff in a separate layer. If there is anything about it that you don't like, do it again. You've got control. Now let's do this another way though. Let me show you two ways. Press Control A in Windows, Command A on a Mac. Select all in the blank layer. Press the Delete key on a Mac or the Backspace key in Windows. So we're back to scratch. We're back to the start. Let's go back up to Filter, Vanishing Point again. Now watch what happens. It remembers the grid. Now see, that's pretty cool because I don't want to have to draw this again and I want to use it again. So we're going to come over here and pick up this tool. Let's say just like a rectangular selection tool, but watch how it draws. I'm going to get right about here and up a little bit. It draws in the perspective of that plane. Say we do something about like that. Now we have a very soft feather up here. That's probably fine. We want to completely cover it 100%, and I'm going to turn Heal on because I like that feature. Change Move Mode to Source. Now get in here and drag. Watch what happens. Now this will only work if you've got a piece big enough to actually do it. But we're going to try to line that up. If it doesn't, we can undo it and do it again. And there you go. Now we could do the same thing down here. Something about like that. Move Mode to Source. Everything else is the way we had before. And let's bring that down and see what happens. Not too bad. Click OK. And again, if there's anything about that that you didn't like, basically all you have to do is go into this layer and do it again. Now let me show you really quick another thing. In Vanishing Point 2, I have a cube. Underneath cube, I have another layer though. It's got bricks in it. I want you to press Control A. That's Control A in Windows, Command A on a Mac. That's Select All. And then go to the word Edit and say Copy. Now let's go ahead and turn Cube back on and select that layer and then create a new layer above it. Go into Filter and go down to Vanishing Point. In Vanishing Point this time, we're going to draw something a little bit more complex. We're going to start up here. Just kind of follow the lines. Come down here and then over to here. Now go to the middle one right here. Hold down the Control key in Windows and the Command key on a Mac and drag. Watch what happens. Now we're way off. That's all right. I was off here, as you can see. It's no big deal. You just go ahead and readjust it, going to the corners. That's going to happen, so it's no big deal. If you do get the other side perfect, and this is a perfect cube, that would not have happened. Okay, let's fix this side. That looks pretty good. Okay, so we have a grid here, and we have one over here. Deselect just by clicking somewhere up here. Now press Control V for Windows, Command V on a Mac to paste. Remember we copied the bricks? Okay, we pasted them in. Grab them up here and pull them inside of that perspective plane. You like that? Click OK. Now let's do one more thing. Pick up your polygonal lasso tool. Now come over here. I'm going to get right about here, and I'm going to go down to here. Polygonal lasso draws straight lines. Every time you click, it connects to the last line that you drew from. I'm going to come up here, and let's come across. Now, with that layer selected, go down here to our adjustments and choose Hue and Saturation. Then go into Lightness and darken it up a little bit. Vanishing Point to me is a really valuable tool. Now you can do this kind of stuff, but with some of the newer 3D features in Photoshop, and we're not going to cover those in this title because they're a little bit beyond fundamentals, but you can do a lot of what we did here using those type of tools. But for cloning and getting that third dimension and making sure everything works the way it's supposed to, you can't beat it.